Well, this ought to be a very fascinating watch. The movie that is known as the most adult movie in Pixar's library, The Incredibles. And boy, is it a great watch or what? Not my favorite per se, but it's definitely top 10 without a doubt. And even after this latest rewatch of the film, I still love it even after all this time. Now, the reason why I say this is adult is because there are some things in it that aren't played down to kids. Of course, kids can enjoy it purely because of, well, superheroes doing what they're supposed to, but there are some things in it that would come out of something like, I don't know, After or something. Yeah, I know this was out in 2004, a whole 15 years before that film franchise was even concepted. But it genuinely feels like something out of an adult movie. And this is a goddamn Pixar film! Like the sequence of Bob and Helen arguing. Or when Helen tells Violet and Dash that the bad guys on the island could kill them if given the chance. Of course, I could go into all of the adult scenes in the film, but we would be here all day. The animation is one of the most unique styles I have ever seen. For this to be the first movie solely on humans, they went out of their way to make them as stylized as possible. Because the Pixar crew couldn't pull off hyper-realistic renders at the time, they instead made things more stylized to fit the universe. The main characters themselves are very cartoony in proportion, as are many objects in the background made to look like simple shapes, which is really darn neat. The animation in general here is great. Again, I've said it before, but it's a step up. And this is now the second movie to not have Randy Newman do the score. Which, why would Newman compose a score for a more grounded and actually movie like this? So instead, Mission Impossible composer Michael Giacchino composed the score here. And man, does he do a fantastic job here. And the plot is probably the most grounded plot out of all the films we have covered so far. We start the film by seeing the life of a super through Mr. Incredible, who is our main character, but it's not entirely about him. I mean, it's not called The Incredibles for nothing. But then, once Mr. Incredible causes a lot of ruckus, the super starts to be phased out. Now the family have to hide their powers for a long time. Gee, doesn't that sound familiar? Which results in Bob going through a midlife crisis. And you really feel sorry that his job isn't going well, and especially once he gets fired and loses his job. That is until Bob is called for an assignment by Mirage, of which Helen is suspicious of. Bob goes on his assignment, only to get trapped on the island, thanks to the movie's villain, Syndrome, who is constructing these Omnidroids to destroy all supers. And now Helen has to go and rescue him, but the kids have rolled along reluctantly, but they also help out with the rescue. Many escapades abound, until the final act of the film where they, along with Frozone, come together for the big final act of the movie, in what is a very exciting sequence to watch. But even then, that's not the end, as Syndrome gets the final straw by stealing Jack Jack, to which then he gets his revenge by using his abilities and powers as well, all to save himself and defeat Syndrome. But there are some pretty funny moments in the film as well. Of course, we all know the principal's office scene is iconic to watch, and you could literally quote this scene word for word.
Coincidence? I think not!
But a lot of the scenes with Ed the Moan gave me a chuckle, especially with the whole
No kicks!
sequence, which brilliantly gets paid off with Syndrome's defeat at the end. Seriously, Bradford does a marvelous job at bringing Edna to life. As do all the VAs in this film. Even the whole scene with Frozone and him trying to find his super suit was pretty funny. But the plot itself is so interconnected. A large gap of time is shown for what could be months with all of Bob's workout and losing weight. And you feel like rooting for him when he longs for the glory days again. And I have to give Pixar credit. They made a very well done story, making it adult for the older audience to understand, but also appealing to kids with the whole superheroes thing. Unfortunately though, the ending kind of foreshadows something that I'm not looking forward to watching. You guys probably know what it is, but if you don't, you wouldn't want to know. But we'll get there eventually. But for now, I will say that the ending is a great foreshadow as to what's to come. But if you ask me, I think they should have left it there and not follow up on that. But yeah, that was The Incredibles. Even after this rewatch, I still enjoyed it a lot. It's just a pity that we would get a sequel, but not for the right reasons. But for now, this first movie is one of the best Pixar films I have ever seen, and I would highly recommend watching it. But tomorrow, this one is gonna probably intrigue all you guys, as we will be stepping into the racing world with Cars, a franchise that refuses to die here on this channel, diecast wise anyway. But here we are about to review the first of these three films. Will this be the truly best film Pixar has to offer so far? Well, you'll have to find out on tomorrow's episode.